going on, everyone? Today we're going to be going over a very special firearm. It is the Honor Guard by Honor Defense. I've never even heard this firearm. You probably have never even heard this firearm, so let's figure out what it even is. The company was gaining popularity when the single stack craze was a thing. For example, they were going up against guys like the Glock 43, 43X, Smith & Wesson's Shield and Shield Plus, and then eventually the nail in the coffin of the P365. So they were going for an everyday carry that was slim as possible, so AKA a single stack. But in the era of the Shield Plus and the P365, well, that ended very, very quickly. Another really cool thing about this firearm is that it's made in Gainesville, Georgia. Ring a bell? That's where we live. So that's very interesting and something that really kind of that's pretty neat, honestly. Obviously, it's chambered in 9mm. It holds 8 in this particular magazine. It also comes with a 7+1 mag. The barrel is 3.8 inches and it is rated for +B. So if you wanted to run some of those spicy Liberty Civil Defense cartridges, then you could, and I'd probably recommend something like that just because the firearm does come in at 25 ounces. So she is a bit hefty, especially up on the top where the slide is. If you ran 124s to 147s, this would feel pretty heavy after a while. So the sights are a 3-dot configuration, 2 white dots in the back, and then you have your orange front post at the front. Something I would just note right off the bat, serrations both on the forward and the back, and they wrap around the entire slide. So when it goes for a press check, you can grip it no matter where you're at on the slide. So this particular model right here is actually the longer slide and the longer barrel. There is one that is a little bit shorter, almost like a snub nose, if that makes sense. This model right here is the HG CLS. Honestly, it is pretty decent of a slide as far as length. 3.8 inches is actually longer than the X Macro, which is considered one of the best everyday carry firearms on the market. And fun fact, the size of the X Macro is very similar to this, and you get 17+1, which is ridiculous. The grip texture is very unique, very nice. So as you can see, it kind of flows within the firearm here, all the way up even into the side of the trigger guard, which is very, very nice. So when you go to grip this guy and you have a really good grip and you have your resting finger and also your support hand, you can feel that grip texture all the way through. A little accessory rail up at the front if you want to run a light or a laser. We're going to talk about some things that we think might have hurt the firearm in the production of it, just because it's competing against companies like Glock, Smith & Wesson, SIG, and I think these things were kind of contributed to the fact that they couldn't compete. Number one is the capacity. So yes, the capacity is better than the Shield and the Glock 43. But when the 43X and the Shield Plus arrived, and of course the 365, it just kind of killed the capacity game because you're getting something even smaller, just as thin or thinner, but with literally +2 or all the way up in the macros example. I know the macro came in 2023, so it's a lot later than when this guy was coming out, but still part of the 365 family, 17+1. The mag release really sucks. Really have to press that in there to release that mag. Now, the one thing that kind of just killed the firearm, in my personal opinion, is the trigger. As far as the break is not the worst thing in the world. It is a bit heavy, coming in just over 7 pounds. And to give you an example, the Glock trigger, which is not exactly, you either hate it or you love it, comes in at 5.5 pounds. This comes in just over 7, and you can definitely feel it. This reset, you're gonna see, is just genuinely awful. Again, we are clear. I mean, that's awful. All right, here we are on the range. So we have some 115 grain by Monarch steel case. We're gonna see if it will run, which I'm about positive it will. All right. There we go. We're gonna switch it up and run some Federal 124 grain brass. I don't think it's knocking that steel case much at all. Most of our firearms will shoot it just fine, but this one is very picky right now. It was doing fine at first, but for safety reasons, we're gonna switch over to 124 brass by Federal. That slide release just kind of sucks. I don't personally like that, but that reset is really something you gotta get used to. All right, let's see. There's so many targets on the range now, I don't even know what to choose from. We'll shoot the little rifle target here. Or just miss, because I'm just that cool.
A little bit of space in between there, just a little bit. That's like Ice Age when the squirrel drops his nut and cracks the ice.
You know the power of the dark side.
That trigger reset, wow. Not gonna complain about the grip of the gun, very nice. But what I will say is that trigger reset, you go to let it go forward just a little bit, you think it's going to click and it doesn't. And you have to keep going, let it sponge out a little bit more. So not really the fastest thing. Great for self-defense maybe, but for trying to be fast, no.
What time is it?
Oh, let's check, let's see. 4 o'clock it looks like.
Wait, what's your...
Oh, I'm no Devin Larratt arm wrestling champion, but when it goes to this mag release here, I'm pressing pretty good. Like without trying to reposition my hand, I'm pressing down pretty hard and it's still not releasing. You have to extra press down and kind of help it out. So very spongy release, don't like that. Bam!
So that is our review over the Honor Guard by Honor Defense. This is a very interesting firearm and something that, while I wouldn't necessarily carry, it is a very, very unique piece. Great range toy, and it's a great talking piece, especially if you live in Gainesville, Georgia, like us. If you enjoy this kind of content, this is what we do here on this channel, guys. So we really do appreciate all the new subscribers that are coming in. And if you learned anything or you just kind of like what you see here, maybe even think about subscribing. I hope you enjoyed the video. And like always, we'll see you in the next one.